Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Arizona.
Tonight at Chase Field, the Diamondbacks host the Dodgers for the last time this season. The D-backs will try and prevent L.A. from clinching the NL West here at Chase Field. The offense warmed up over the weekend at the Rockies' expense. 2 days worth of tacos. Now, a 4-game series against the NL West leaders on Fox Sports Arizona. The bright Arizona sun beating down on a wounded Dodgers team that limps into Chase Field, having lost 3 straight and 8 of 11 and carrying several injured superstars. And the D-backs with no plans on being accommodating hosts, with L.A. holding a chance to clinch the NL West right here in the Diamondbacks and Dodgers final series of the season. Good evening from Chase Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brentley along the way. First of 4 D-backs and Dodgers here this week at Chase Field. And Bob, the Diamondbacks getting another big effort yesterday from Paul Goldschmidt as we look ahead to what we're calling the GTC, the Goldie Triple Crown, a 300 average and a league lead in homers and RBIs.
Well, the RBIs appears to be safe at this point, but it never hurts to tack on a few right there. The home runs sneaking up on Pedro Alvarez of the Pirates, and the 300 average. He's had to work very hard over the last week to 10 days to get it back up over the 300 mark. We're keeping our fingers crossed Goldie can stay over 300 the rest of the year. Right
now he's only 2 home runs shy of the Goldie Triple Crown. Another guy who hit a home run yesterday, Matt Davidson, in this final week or so here. A chance for Kirk Gibson to get a look at both Davidson and Owings here who are playing today.
Yeah, we're not sure how much we're going to see these guys as we move forward. A lot of it depends on the races and the integrity of the game itself, but good to see Matt Davidson touch off his first home run and Chris Owings his first RBI yesterday. Both these guys have looked much more comfortable their last couple of starts. Hopefully they can put up some big numbers here at the end of the season.
We should be seeing a lot of them in this series. When we come back, as they say in football, we must protect this house. Dodger Nation is here. D-back Nation out in full force. First of 4 Diamondbacks and Dodgers for the final time in 2013. Brazil guarantees the lowest price on a new AC system. Call George today. And by Fulton Homes, you're proud to own, we're proud to build.
Monday night, downtown Phoenix, Chase Field, and the D-backs faithful saying not in our house as this 7-game homestand lives on. Welcome back to D-backs Baseball live on Fox Sports Arizona. You know, in 2007, the Arizona Diamondbacks celebrated winning the National League West by popping the champagne at Coors Field. 2 years ago, it was a pool party here at Chase. This year, the Dodgers well on their way to wrapping up the West. Their magic number now at 4, and the D-backs making it a point not to let the boys in blue wrap it up here at home.
It's never fun to watch anybody celebrate, clinching anything on you. So, I think it's the wrong approach to go out there and try to prevent that from happening. I think we need to go out there and just worry about what we can control, and all we control is how we throw the ball, how we hit the ball, and how we feel the ball.
We were kind of hoping to be the ones celebrating, but at this point in time, we're just going to go out and play hard, and play as good as we can, and ideally we wouldn't want them to allow them to celebrate on our home turf, but you can't control the results. You just go out and play hard and see what happens.
It would be great if we don't let them celebrate over here, For us, we just wanted to go out there and win many games as possible, whatever the rest of the season. And hopefully we play good enough to not let them celebrate in our turf.
Well, we shall see if the D-backs keep that champagne on ice. It's Cahill and Ryu. D-backs and Dodgers, the first of 4 straight, coming up next right here on Fox Sports Arizona.
LA Dodgers. D-backs have lost 5 of their last 6 versus the Dodgers, but Arizona can still win the season series versus LA with wins in 2 of these remaining 4 games. It's been rough going lately for Don Mattingly's ball club, Bob. They have lost 3 straight, 8 of their last 11, and they are beginning a 10-game road trip through Arizona, San Diego, and San Francisco.
And a lot of the injury problems that reared their ugly head early in the season have returned. Hanley Ramirez, Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, a lot of their regulars out of the lineup tonight. It'll be Nick Punto at shortstop, Mark Ellis at second, Adrian Gonzalez at first base, Yasiel Puig out in right field, A.J. Ellis behind the plate, Skip Schumacher in center field, Juan Uribe at third, Nick Buss playing left field tonight, and Hyunjin Ryu on the mound, the lefty for the Dodgers.
Their Arizona four-dealers. Diamondback starting pitcher is Trevor Cahill. A no decision against LA last Tuesday at Dodger Stadium. He worked 6 innings, allowed only 4 hits, but walked 4. Cahill has struggled with his command lately. He's walked 4 batters in 3 of his last 5 starts. Nick Punto leads it off, and we are underway. First of 4 against the Dodgers here at Chase Field, and everything's opened up. It's that time of year, Bob. It is another gorgeous night in downtown Phoenix.
Boy, this is the place to be. Beautiful evening, very comfortable inside Chase Field. You got the Dodgers in town for 4. This is the place to be.
Absolutely. 5,000 different We Back Sedona Red t-shirts handed out for each of the 4 games against the Dodgers in this series. So join us at Chase Field all week long. D-backs and Dodgers. 1-1 to Nick Punto. There's the strike, says Andy Fletcher, who's the home plate umpire tonight. It's 1-2. Punto 255, 2 homers. He is a switch hitter. The right-hand side is by far his strong side. That one's fouled away. Punto hitting .230 as a left-hand hitter. He's over .300 as a righty, so this is the matchup that the Diamondbacks like. There are the platoon splits this year for Nick Punto. They have really had to put a patchwork lineup together. As you mentioned it, Bob, this looks like the team we saw in May that was walking dead out there. They had all their key guys hurt, and they're kind of finishing the way they started.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the Dodgers were in a race, how many of the injured players would be able to take the field tonight. Don Mattingly said about Matt Kemp, he might be ready today, he might be ready tomorrow, maybe not till next week, maybe not for a couple of weeks. So not really sure of the status of some of these Dodger injuries.
That one has bounced up the middle, and Punto has a leadoff single, sliding headfirst into first.
That's what happens when you put your head down and run as hard as you can. Nick Punto assumed that one of the D-backs middle infielders would be able to get to this ball, so he just drops his head, goes as hard as he can, ends up sliding head first into first base. You got to tip your cap for the effort, but maybe a quick peek to your left would save the front of your jersey.
I imagine he would take a fair amount of abuse doing that in front of his own dugout.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Ellis, all smiles, everybody on the top step, and kind of letting him have it there. D. Gordon leading the charge. So Punto aboard for Ellis, who shows bunt, takes a ball, 1-0. 273, 6 homers and 44 RBIs for Mark Ellis. He has 7 hits in his last 6 games, so he's been hot lately.
Yeah, we mentioned it down in LA last week. Only the Reds put down more sacrifice bunts in the National League than the Dodgers. Now, in that first delivery, it looked like Mark Ellis was possibly thinking about bunting for a base hit, but should he advance Punto on to second base, he would probably be credited with a sacrifice. Some of them come from the manager, Don Mattingly. Some of them are just players trying to bunt their way on base with runners on base.
Tuffy Gozawish getting the start for the D-backs behind the plate tonight. Punto holding it first. There's a strike, 2-1. Defensively, Arizona looks a little something like this.
A lot like this. Willie Bloomquist, A.J. Pollock, Gerardo Parra left to right across the outfield. Prado and Owings on the left side. Aaron Hill, Paul Goldschmidt on the right side of the infield. As you mentioned, Tuffy Gozawish behind the plate tonight for right-hander Trevor Cahill.
2-1. Down the line, but foul. Jumped all over that one.
Mentioned the walks for Trevor Cahill his last couple of outings against the Dodgers. The good news is when he's keeping that sinker ball down, he can get some double play balls. That's the hope right here. Try to keep something down for Ellis. Get his infield to turn it behind him.
He has never lost to the Dodgers in his career, as he just saw, 5-0 with an ERA just over 2. 2-2 pitch. Outside, it's full.
At least Trevor looks a little more comfortable tonight than he did in his last start. Remember in the first couple of innings, it just looked like he was really uncomfortable on the mound, kept bending over, stretching his back, cranking his right arm around. So far, looks much more comfortable tonight.
Very fidgety at Dodger Stadium last week. Adrian Gonzalez is on deck. Punto on first, 3-2 to Mark Ellis. Punto off with a pitch. That one is grounded to shortstop. Chris Owings backhands it. And they get the out at first. Punto moves into scoring position.
Yeah, maybe not hit hard enough to turn two if Punto had not been running, but Chris Owings comes in, makes the play, shows a strong throwing arm across the diamond to get Ellis at first base.
Right to the glove, one down. Adrian Gonzalez now. Having a typical Adrian Gonzalez year, leading the Dodgers in hits, homers, and RBIs.
Well, you talk about a guy in the opposing lineup you don't want to let beat you. Obviously, Adrian Gonzalez is that guy just about every time you play the Dodgers, but especially against Trevor Cahill. 9 for 17 lifetime, a couple of doubles and a homer.
Cahill jumps ahead 0-2. Ooh. Yeah, pretty good.
A weak swing that time at a cutter inside. Obviously, Trevor Cahill is best known for that heavy sinking fastball and really fooled Gonzalez with that cutter.
There you see Matt Kemp. He is back today from his hamstring injury. He is here and has rejoined the ball club. There he is making his first appearance in the dugout as Cahill punches out Gonzalez, 2 down. He elevated and he got him to chase.
Number 66.
You mentioned elevated fastball. Adrian Gonzalez is a guy that knows his own strike zone as well as any hitter in the National League. Cahill fooled him twice in that at bat.
And Booz greeting Yasiel Puig at 338 and 16 homers. And he's one of the injured guys that is in the lineup tonight. Puig has been battling a hip problem. He's had hip pain that flared up on Saturday. Trainers told him he could pinch hit but not be able to play in the field yesterday. Had to leave Saturday's game after landing awkwardly on a diving catch and being hit by a pitch, so he had a rough day. He's had a season of nagging ailments. Everybody using their camera phones for this guy, that's for sure. He's had nothing serious, but Puig has had a sore shoulder at times. He's had a tight hamstring, a sore knee, a few other issues. And this weekend it was the hip. Two 2-0. He's a show, there's no question.
He's liable to put on a show if he takes ball 4 right here. Flip the bat away in disgust.
Yeah, you fall behind on Puig and you're not going to give him anything to hit and try and battle back in the count, especially with 2 outs and first base open. So he takes a walk, first and second, 2 outs, and the catcher A.J. Ellis steps in. And don't work to Puig when you can work to Ellis, who is really slumping down the stretch. A.J. Ellis only 184 in September. He's down to 240 on the year. And now, Bob, having been very careful and almost pitching around Puig really with first base open, you have to make sure, right, that you get A.J. Ellis here and not have anything get out of hand.
Yeah, you don't want to load him up for Skip Schumacher, a pesky contact hitter. Yeah, but even though it appeared to me he was pitching around Puig, it wasn't like he was just throwing pitch outs. He was working around the edges, and if Puig would have happened to chase some of those pitches, maybe he goes ahead and tries to retire him. But once you fall behind 3-0, that's too dangerous to attack him at that point.
And earlier this year, he might have chased some of those pitches.
He would have.
1-1. This is there, 2-1. So far, 11 balls, 11 strikes for Trevor Cahill.
Now 2-2 count with 2 outs in the inning. This is a pitch of action right here for Trevor Cahill and Tuffy Gosewich. You want something to happen on this 2-2 pitch. Don't want to fall behind 3-2, full count. Runners will be on the move. Over the course of a ball game and over the course of a long season, you look for every little edge you can get. Attacking the strike zone right here would give you a slight edge.
Fouled in front of Tim Walla, coaching at third. Mentioned this year has sort of mirrored last year for A.J. Ellis when he kind of ran out of gas toward the end of the season, hit under 220 in September, and he's having a similar finish this year. 2-2. This is there, and it's full.
Boy, that was close. That is a tough take for A.J. Ellis right there. Drops that sinker just at the bottom of the zone. Looked just to be inside the outside corner of the plate. Tough non-call there.
One of those where you try and sneak it back inside the zone for a strike. There go the runners. That is bounced foul toward third.
Ideally, you get that right-handed hitter to quit on that sinker. It starts off the plate. He recognizes it's going to be off the plate, and then that late movement brings it back to the corner.
Already a 26-pitch inning for Trevor Cahill. Nick Punto at second. Yasiel Puig at first. 3-2, 2 outs. Runners will again be off for the pitch. Shortstop Chris Owings has one play. Strong throw. Nice play behind the bag. And Cahill strands 2. We'll head to the home half here at Chase. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Coming up for the Diamondbacks. Paul Goldschmidt. Big day yesterday as we look for the Goldie Triple Crown. Dodgers first of 4 here this week, and the D-backs offense has really perked up as of late. At least 12 hits in 4 straight games, and looking to keep that going tonight in this series opener against Los Angeles. And here is Kirk Gibson's lineup against Hyunjin Ryu.
A.J. Pollock at the top playing center field. Willie Bloomquist played a lot of left down at Dodger Stadium. He's in left field tonight. Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Martin Prado at third tonight. Aaron Hill at second base. Gerardo Parra out in right field. Chris Owings getting the start at shortstop again today. Tuffy Gosewich behind the plate. And Trevor Cahill, the right-hander, on the mound for the D-backs.
28th start for Hyunjin Ryu. 13 wins, an ERA just over 3. Diamondbacks just hit Ryu pretty hard last Wednesday at Dodger Stadium. He was tagged for 10 hits in 6 innings.
They jumped him early. 3 consecutive hits to start the ball game. Pollock, Bloomquist, Goldschmidt that particular day. Scored 2 in the first, 1 more in the second. And then Ryu was much better the rest of his outing, but Diamondbacks got on him early.
He has lost 3 of his last 4 starts and pitched to an ERA over 4 in those 4 starts as A.J. Pollock starts it off for the Diamondbacks. He's behind 0-2. A.J. at .257 on the year. He's got 7 homers.
Well, we've seen all kinds of on-deck routines from hitters, not only on the Diamondbacks but other teams, but this is a new one. Willie Bloomquist doing some eye exercises there, I assume. Either that or he's thinking about painting a portrait of right field here at Chase Field.
Feel like I've been hypnotized.
Well, you know, you think about it, guys get their arms loose, they get their legs loose, they do their core exercises, but you know, your eyes are probably the most important thing of all when you step into that batter's box, the ability to see and recognize that pitch quickly.
Yeah, otherwise you might look like that. Our camera crew all over it. 1-2. That's how Mitch Riggin often sees the game as well, our director.
Oh yeah.
Good numbers for AJ here, which is one of the reasons he's in the leadoff spot tonight. 5 for 11 career against Ryu. And of course all this year. 2-2. He's worked it full. Roof and panels are going to be open the whole series with the exception of Thursday's day game. So come on out and join us at Chase Field as A.J. Pollock works a leadoff walk. Good start for the Diamondbacks.
Left fielder, number 18, Willie Bloomquist.
Look at that. Dogs and cats living together.
It's early.
The blue people are here. Here's Willie Bloomquist. 345 on the year and 12 RBIs. No sign of a bunt from Willie on that one. It's 0-1. A.J. Pollock with good speed at first. He has stolen 11 bases this year and been caught only 3 times.
Ryu can be quick to the plate with that slide step out of the left-handed delivery, and we talked about it last week down in L.A. The Dodgers are well equipped behind home plate. A.J. Ellis has thrown out 40%, Fedorovich even more.
Willie reaches down and sort of lifts it into right. Puig comes in. Long way to run, but he's underneath for the first out. Defensively, the Dodgers look like this. Some new faces in there.
Nick Buss only 7 at-bats on the season, getting the start in left field. Tonight, Skip Schumacher, the super utility guy, out in center field. Yasiel Puig in his customary right field position. It'll be Uribe and Punto on the left side of the infield. Ellis and Gonzalez on the right side. The other Ellis, AJ, behind the plate, and Hyunjin Ryu on the mound.
Nice. Nick Buss, Skip Schumacher, and Yasiel Puig in the outfield, left to right. Here's Goldie. Coming off his 5 RBI day yesterday. Hammered that ball deep to center field, and that one is well hit. And wait for a signal. Gone. Paul Goldschmidt, his 33rd, and the Diamondbacks jump out front. It's 2-0. That's a Fulton home run. Another $150 going to Central Arizona Mountain Rescue now. 33 homers to tie Pedro Alvarez for the National League lead.
Boy, his last 2 have come almost to straightaway center field. Yesterday was straightaway. You could see the backspin on that ball as it came off the bat. Tremendous carry just to the right of straightaway center. Up into the terrace.
So he's even with Alvarez leading the league now with 116 RBIs, pulling away from Brandon Phillips for the league lead there as he pursues the Goldie Triple Crown, a 300 average and league championships in both homers and RBIs. And the negotiations are underway. They'll throw in that banana.
And as always, we'll keep an eye on Brandon Phillips in that RBI race, as that pitch is taken for a called strike. Phillips 1 for 4 tonight for the Reds. They hold a 6-0 lead over the Astros, but no RBIs for that dude BP.
Goldie's now hit in 6 straight games. He's got, and by 6 I count that last hit there, he's now got 13 hits in his last 6 games. 1-2 to Martin Prado. Well, that was majestic.
Who makes this ballpark? He makes a lot of ballparks look small. I mean, there's guys on the field right now that could take batting practice at second base and not hit him where Goldie just hit that last home run.
22 games without a homer. Now home runs in back-to-back games. Prado shoots that to left, buses there, and he's got it for the second out. Take one more look at the Goldie swing on the old Phantom Cam, which is back for the week.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Watch the backspin on the ball as it comes off the barrel of the bat. First of all, hits right on the sweet spot of the bat and imparts that backspin that causes that ball to carry a long way. Oh, beautiful swing.
33 homers, 116 RBI. Strike one to Aaron Hill at 296 and 10 homers.
That's the way my swing looked regular speed.
You had Phantom Cam bat speed?
Yes, I did.
Grounded to second base. Ellis is there, and that's the inning. But Paul Goldschmidt knocks in his 33rd of the year in the Diamondbacks. Through one, lead the Dodgers 2-0. Run of the year, lead the Dodgers 2-0 as we start the second inning. So Trevor Cahill staked to a 2-0 lead. He'll work to Skip Schumacher, Juan Uribe, and Nick Buss. 6, 7, and 8 in the LA second. Schumacher getting the start in center field tonight. Swings at the first pitch and knocks it deep to center. A.J. Pollock backing up right under the terrace, and he tracks it down. He plays a really good center field.
Always seems to get such good jumps, goes right to the spot. There's never any wavering, no S patterns, no banana patterns. Just run a straight line to where you think that ball's going to come down. And AJ right there for the catch, just in front of the wall.
Well hit by Schumacher for the first down, and here is Juan Uribe, who single-handedly destroyed the Diamondbacks in one of the games last week at Dodger Stadium with his first career 3-homer game.
Yeah, we talked about some of the Dodger injuries and what that's done to their lineup offensively. Just to give you an example, A.J. Ellis hitting 5th tonight, Mark Ellis hitting 2nd. When we faced them in L.A. and they had their full complement of healthy players, they hit 7th and 8th in the lineup.
Well, they've been waiting for Kemp for a while, and we showed you he is here. He has rejoined the team. Can't hold off there, and it's 1-2. But Kemp has appeared in only one game since July the 5th. He initially went on the DL with an ankle sprain. That was further delayed when he injured his hamstring working out at Camelback Ranch here in the Valley, trying to come back from the ankle issue. He hasn't played at all since July 21st. And so they've been waiting and waiting, and he's been given the green light here for this series opener. But how much he'll play here is a matter of discussion. We got a lot of injured guys, as we said. Hanley Ramirez has an irritated nerve in his back. He had 2 cortisone shots last Friday for the back problems. Carl Crawford is out. He's got back pain too. They don't think that's going to be a long-term thing. As Tuffy hangs on, that's the second strikeout for Trevor Cahill. 2 down in the second. Andre Ethier has an ankle. He's been using a walking boot. They say he's got a condition similar to shin splints on the outside of his left ankle, and there's no structural damage for Ethier, but his only remedy is rest right now. And of course, we explain what happened with Kemp. So you're talking about Hanley and Crawford and Ethier and Kemp. That's a pretty formidable DL.
Yeah, because they have the comfortable lead that they've built up in the National League West, Don Mattingly can afford to be extra careful with those guys before running them back out on the field.
And so it's another big reason why you're looking at Nick Buss right now. He was not even on the Dodgers 40-man roster until this weekend. He was not included in LA's first series of September call-ups when rosters expanded. But Buss and Alex Castellanos were called up from the Dodgers instructional camp in Glendale. Hey, get up here. That was just a few days ago. Suddenly they're here in the big leagues. He wasn't even in big league camp this spring, Nick Buss. That one is bounced to second. Aaron Hill is there, and it's a nice 1-2-3 second for Trevor Cahill. The Diamondbacks lead the Dodgers 2-0. proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And by Jack in the Box. Go big at a participating Jack in the Box with Jack's really big chicken sandwich combos for only $3.99 plus tax.
Great night to stroll into Chase Field here. A lot of walk-offs over the course of this season. It's been exciting, certainly. Come on in. Roof and panels are open. Dodgers are here all week, so join us at Chase Field. Tonight, the first of 4 in the Diamondbacks on Paul Goldschmidt's 33rd home run. Lead it 2-0. Ronald Parra, Chris Owens, and Tuffy Gozawish 6, 7, and 8 in the Arizona second against Hyunjin Ryu.
Nice clean 1-2-3 second inning for Trevor Cahill after throwing quite a few pitches in that first. That was good to see. Very quick inning.
Settled into a nice rhythm. A strikeout and a ground ball. Here's Parra at 267 and 10 homers. Ronald Parra coming off a productive weekend series against the Rockies. He had a pair of RBI doubles on Saturday. Yesterday he tripled and scored a run. That one bit him pretty good. As you can see, he's already pretty well protected, and you can never have too much.
And it rarely hits the padded area. We'll take a look at this one, see where it got Gerardo.
Instep maybe? Let's see.
Well, actually above the padding, up on the shin. Ouch.
Yeah, that one, this is a little more involved than usual.
And it kind of depends on where it hits on your leg, too. If you take one off the calf muscle, it's going to hurt. It's going to leave a mark. It's going to be bruised badly come tomorrow. But you understand it's just a bruise. You can play through it, grit your teeth, and keep moving. Try to keep it loose. If it happens to hit you right on that shin bone, though, not a lot of padding right there.
I mean, imagine how much it hurts just, you know, when you bump into a table or something. To foul a baseball off your shin like that. Back in with a 1-1 count. There's the strike, 1-2. Imagine Gerardo, who's already well over 100 more plate appearances this year than he's had in any other season in his career, so he may already be worn down a little more than usual. There's the strikeout, 1 away. Time for the AT&T Twitter poll question. I never know where we're going with these. Most exciting thing to watch the rest of this season, the Goldie home run chase. We like to call it the GTC, the Goldie Triple Crown. Ronald Parra throwing guys out from the outfield. Patrick Corbin finishing strong. He's really been good lately. Or the young kids, the Owings and the Davidsons and those guys. Tweet your vote to @Fox Sports Arizona. What are you keeping an eye on over the final 2 weeks here? Speaking of which, here is Chris Owings. That is really solid producing right there.
I like all of the above.
Seamless. But you have to pick one, unfortunately. Gerardo Parra still shaking that off. If you're just joining us, Diamondbacks lead at 2-0. Paul Goldschmidt crushed his 33rd home run of the year to deep right center. Up on the terrace for a 2-0 lead. Pollock walked to lead it off for the D-backs. And then Goldie homered his 33rd. Trevor Cahill has retired the last 4 he's faced, and he holds a 2-0 lead as Chris Owings hits with 1 out in the second. Roof and panels open, first of 4, D-backs and Dodgers. Hope to see you out here at Chase Field. 5,000 different Sedona Red We Back the D-back t-shirts will be handed out for every game. So come on down, check out the D-backs and Dodgers, and get your t-shirt. And while you're down here, ask about season tickets for 2014, Section 111, season ticket headquarters. They'll answer all your questions. Get season tickets just for the weekend games. You can get a half season. You can go all in full season. And you can pay over the course of 12 months. There's the strikeout. Back-to-back strikeouts for Ryu here in the second. And there's still time to be part of the action this week at Chase Field. Today, we gave out 5,000 We Back t-shirts, and we're going to do it again in every game of this 4-game series. 5,000 Sedona Red t-shirts with different slogans on there. So make sure to get your tickets and collect your t-shirts. 602-462-4600. Or log on to dbacks.com/tickets. We Back home turf. This is our house. We need Ray Lewis. Drag him out here. Do one of his little speeches. Protect this house, baby.
Who do you suppose the D-backs version of Ray Lewis is?
It's not Goldie, I can tell you that.
No.
So if he goes a wish, that's an excellent question. Maybe that should be our AT&T Twitter poll question tomorrow. I'm going to think about this for a minute. We're back with you tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Diamondbacks Live pregame show. It might be Martin Prado.
In a much more subdued way, but yeah, very vocal.
Yeah, he's kind of a ringleader, a vocal guy. He's not out there doing those dances.
At least not on the field. We've seen him in the clubhouse.
Yes. And in the car with Jody Jackson and Gerardo Parra.
You know, Miggy's a guy that historically has been that guy, but because of his offensive struggles throughout most of the season, I don't think we've seen the true Miggy a lot this year.
Tuffy lifts that one high and deep to left center. Bus at the track and the wall, and he's got it for the third outs. We are through 2. It's 2-0 Diamondbacks. When we come back, Jason Moore will join us, and we'll talk next year's season opener in Australia. Get the Vegemite ready.
Want to get the best in ballpark digital experience during your visit to Chase Field?
How did I get in this crazy nutshell? Hey, Jason Moore is with us. He is the CEO of Moore Sports, which is handling the Diamondbacks and Dodgers opening day game next year in Sydney, Australia. Welcome back.
Good to see you guys again.
It's good to have you. How are things going?
They're going great. They're going great. The guys in Australia are really supporting the event, and I'm great to say that the Diamondbacks, their fans, are supporting the event as well.
Oh, of course. D-Back Nation. We're all in, man. We can't wait to go. BB and I are campaigning to go. That's still a work in progress.
Well, we might find a suitcase for you to jump into.
Stick it in a trunk or something. How about this? The Diamondbacks and Dodgers will open the 2014 season next year at the famous Sydney Cricket Ground in Australia, March 22nd and 23rd. And you have an option, D-back fans, to purchase single game tickets or several travel packages available that include all kinds of things. So if D-backs fans want to get involved, Jason, what should they do?
Well, they should go to dbacks.com/Sydney. All the information's there. Look, if you just want to buy tickets and take care of your own thing, you can do that. Like I said before, we have put a whole group of tickets aside for D-backs fans to purchase directly that the rest of the market can't get. And if you want to buy tickets, that's great. If you want to go on one of the great organised travel packages, climbing the Harbour Bridge.
Now, is that the one they bungee jump off of?
No, that is not.
Okay. That's New Zealand.
Yeah, that's New Zealand. You don't want to go there.
Yeah. Wait, are you guys not getting along again?
Well, you know.
Oh, wow. All right.
Well, no, we get along. It's all right.
And, well, you've got the famous Sydney Opera House. That's part of that tour, too, right?
Absolutely. Opera House. Get out on the harbour. You've got some of the best beaches in the world right next door to Sydney. So, look, plenty to do when you get down there. Some great restaurants, great bars. You certainly want to go up the Harbour Bridge. That's a special thing to do.
And you go to dbacks.com/Sydney. Now, tell us a little bit, if you can, about the Sydney Cricket Ground. Is this what it's going to look like for baseball?
Well, that's our artist mock-up. There's a brand new $186 million grandstand being built by the SCG, which is going to have baseball-specific facilities, clubhouses, dugouts built into it. But more importantly, it's an iconic venue around the world from a cricket perspective, and now we're going to make it an iconic venue from a baseball perspective, particularly in the Southern Hemisphere.
3 strikeouts now for Trevor Cahill as he gets Ryu to open the third. This is a great look at it. Now, a cricket match takes like 7 days, right?
5 days.
The whole match takes 5 days.
And it can still end in a draw.
Oh, baby, you got to do some cricket. That's right in your wheelhouse. 5-day-long games that end in a tie?
Man, I'm all for 9 innings, 2.5 hours. See you tomorrow.
Well, I tell you what, the Diamondbacks are just the team to do it because we're an inning away from the longest season in Major League history because we play all these extra inning games.
No, look, cricket, there's various forms of the game. It can go for 3 hours in the 2020 format, the 1-day format for 7 hours. But look, the Sydney Cricket Ground, there are 2 heritage-listed grandstands there that are well over 100 years old.
Wow.
And look, we actually have a photo. In 1914, Spalding did a tour with the Chicago White Sox.
A.G. Spalding trying to promote his sporting goods company.
And they played the New York Giants on the Sydney Cricket Ground. So it will be 100 years.
Wow.
Since a Major League team has played on the Sydney Cricket Ground.
And D-backs fans can be part of that. Just go to dbacks.com/Sydney and get some tickets, make it a whole trip. Go check out the Opera House, the beaches, everything.
Absolutely.
Now, I've watched a little bit of the Australian Baseball League. The Perth Heat, I think, are a really good team. I've seen them play on TV a little bit. What is baseball like in Australia now?
Look, it's a growing sport. It's nowhere near the level of skill that obviously we're seeing here tonight, Chase Field, but it's growing, and this event will leapfrog it in our part of the world.
Jason, what kind of weather might fans expect in March?
Okay, well, it's still not going to be as hot as what it is here. Look, it's probably averaging somewhere in the 70s to 80s. It can get hot during the day. It'll get a little bit coolish at night. When I say coolish, very, very comfortable.
Sounds like great baseball weather.
It's great. You'll still be walking around in your T-shirt and board shorts and going to the beach in between catching some of the baseball action.
BB, that's you all over.
Right up my alley.
Bring the guitar, get you out there.
And you can still do some of your finest work in the nightclub as well.
Now, we had this for you last time. A fan sent this to me when we mentioned that we were going to be playing on our show. This is Vegemite.
Yeah.
Now,
you don't like this, do you?
It's some of the nastiest stuff on the face of the earth.
But it's not.
Explain this again. You have to feed this to babies to get them to eat it?
No, you don't.
It says on the back of the jar.
Yeah, look, it's good. It's got vitamin B. It's very healthy. It turns people into athletes. But it also has brewer's yeast in it. And remember, I've spoken to you about brewer's yeast, left over from beer. Have it as a kid, then you grow up drinking beer when you get older. That's the way it works.
So it's basically beer that you can spread on a piece of bread.
Exactly.
Oh.
Now you're talking. If you describe it that way, people would be more willing to try it.
Just ease yourself into it. I mean, you didn't start sculling beers at the start, did you?
Well.
Well, maybe I'm taking it wrong, guys.
Speaking of doing some of your finest works in nightclubs, I bet with your accent, you're walking around here doing pretty well.
Oh, I wish, mate. I wish. and my wife at home would love to hear that as well.
Right. He's fine. Now, how would the Sydney Cricket Ground compare to Chase Field, and just in terms of the scope, so people get an idea of the sense of the size of the place?
Well, the capacity will be 40,000 for these games. The physical playing surface, because it's a cricket oval, we're obviously spending a fair bit of time and a lot of detail working with MLB guys to modify the venue to be Major League Baseball specific. But you'll find that it'll be quite expansive. It's a bigger field.
Jason Moore, check it out, CEO of Moore Sports, dbacks.com/Sydney. Jason, thanks. We'll see you there in March, hopefully.
I hope.
Two 28-ounce Gatorade or G2 thirst quenchers for your chance to sign a one-day contract at your very own press conference. You'll attend batting practice, get a customized jersey, and much more. Gatorade, win from within. Very solid start here from Trevor Cahill. He's retired the last 7 he's faced. Back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings for Trevor. And he leaves off the Diamondbacks third against Hyunjin Ryu. Cahill, Pollock, Bloomquist, 9, 1 and 2. Trevor 4 for 44 on the year. Right back to the mound. Ryu pounces on it. 1 away. I like that Jason Moore, BB. He's kind of a cool guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he knows all about the neon lights and the nightlife of Sydney.
Well, I hope I didn't get him in trouble with his wife.
I mean,
you know, you got that accent here in the States. I'm told the girls swoon.
I wouldn't know, mate.
A.J. Pollock. How about, I think you should look into some off-season cricket work.
You know, a former teammate of mine grew up in Jamaica. Chili Davis played cricket as a youth before he played baseball.
Really?
Yeah.
Now they call Nick Buss Chili, the left fielder.
Yeah, apparently his father played in a charity golf tournament years ago with Chili Davis, who's now the hitting coach for the Oakland A's. As I mentioned, a teammate of mine with the Giants, and he liked the name so much that he kind of hung it on Nick as a nickname, Chili Buss.
Here's Chili Buss out there in left.
Now, Chili Davis tells the story he got that nickname because growing up as a child in Jamaica, literally when it was time to get your hair cut, they would put a soup bowl on top of your head and cut around. All the hair that was hanging out underneath the soup bowl got cut off. So they started calling him Chili. from the Chili Bowl.
Better than Soup Bowl, I guess.
Yeah.
1-2.
Or chowder.
Sydney Cricket Ground. That's going to be something. Putting in $180 million in renovations, adding some baseball facilities, clubhouses, seats, grandstands.
It'll be interesting to see, how baseball sets up. As you heard Jason say, the cricket,
it's massive.
Field, for lack of a better term, is an oval. Yeah. You hit one down the left or right field line, it might start rolling around that oval. That could create some issues for corner outfielders.
Strikes Alan Pollock, 2 down. Here's Willie Bloomquist, who flied out his first time up. It's a massive playing surface for cricket. I know that much anyway. I mean, here's a look. It's a circle. And so you put a baseball field in there. Might create some interesting.
And in cricket, you can hit the ball either direction. I mean, like in America, a foul ball goes behind the plate, it's out of play. But in cricket, I think you play it every which way.
And I believe that the pitcher in cricket is actually the offensive player because he's trying to hit the wicket behind the batsman.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be dead wrong. 0-1. Or 1-0, pardon me. So we'll find out all about that if we make that happen. But it certainly is a special opportunity, or really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Diamondbacks fans. So do some investigating at dbacks.com/Sydney. Puig Mania comes to Australia.
How about that?
Nick Punto at shortstop has it. And Ryu works a 1-2-3 third. We are through 3. Diamondbacks lead the Dodgers 2-0.
Good defense all the way around with some good wins, and we need to try to do that for these last couple of weeks. And we've shown spurts of that throughout the year. I said that yesterday, and we just need to try to do that a little bit more consistent. These last 2 weeks.
Goldie, Paul Goldschmidt with our Geico quote of the game, talking about the D-backs offense, especially over the last 4 games. They're hitting .382, 13 doubles, 4 homers, and 26 runs. And of course, he had such a big night last night. And of course, being Goldie, he wanted to deflect all talk about his night last night, where he went 4 for 4, 5 RBI and a home run. But it's nice to see this team catch fire, and it would be nice to see them keep that up, especially against these Dodgers.
Yeah, Brad, the offense has been rolling, that's for sure. Last 4 games, all kinds of big numbers, led by their NL MVP candidate, Adrian Gonzalez, leading the Dodgers in hits, homers, and RBIs. Leads off the fourth against Trevor Cahill. Trevor gave up a single and a walk in the first, and since then he has retired the last 7 he's faced. Right field, Gerardo Parra coming in. He looks to be moving okay after fouling that ball off his shin, his last at bat, and that's 8 straight set down by Trevor Cahill.
You love to get Adrian Gonzalez up there leading off an inning, try to minimize the damage with this patched together lineup that Don Mattingly has tonight. As I mentioned in his first at bat, he's obviously the #1 guy you keep an eye on. Always good to have him up there with nobody on base.
And this guy would probably be #2, at least in this lineup tonight, with guys like Hanley and Crawford and Kemp all injured. Ethier out as well. And another chorus of boos greeting Yasiel Puig, who walked his first time. He has been the last Dodger base runner against Trevor Cahill. A 2-out walk in the first. Two and one.
Well, since he burst upon the scene earlier this season, teams have gradually started to find some holes in Puig's swing. Now, there's very little margin for error. Ooh, that's one of them. Off-speed pitches off the plate away or down in front of home plate. We've seen him chase that high four-seam fastball up above the letters out of the strike zone. So that top hand come off the bat. That's a common reaction from a hitter when he's fooled by an off-speed pitch.
Mark McGuire is their hitting coach, and he says one of the things he likes about Puig's bat is that it's always in the strike zone. Swings and misses there. That's 4 strikeouts for Cahill. 2 outs in the fourth.
Catcher, A.J. Ellis.
Here's A.J. Ellis, who grounded out to end the first his last time up. A.J. Ellis at 239 on the year. He is under that since the All-Star break. There's strike one from Trevor.
Well, I can't get over the difference in body language on the mound for Trevor Cahill tonight as opposed to last time out. He looked like he had ants in his shirt or something. Could not get comfortable on the mound, couldn't get comfortable with his undershirt, couldn't get comfortable with his arm angle out there on the mound. Really struggled through the early part of that ball game.
He is in great rhythm and tempo tonight. 1-1. The numbers from Trevor's previous start against LA, that no decision. You see the 4 walks in 6 innings. But as Bob mentioned, he was fidgeting out there the entire game, kept stretching his back out, tugging at his undershirt, just never looked comfortable. Popped up into shallow right center. Parra calls off Pollock, and it is another 1-2-3 inning for Trevor Cahill. He has retired 10 in a row. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Leading off for the Diamondbacks. He homered his last time up, Paul Goldschmidt.
from Ryu. His fingers behind the baseball. That's the changeup. You see the circle with the index finger and the thumb, throwing the ball off the middle finger. And this is the curveball, leading with the heel of the hand. Now you can see how quickly that happened, even with our Phantom Cam, and that's what a hitter tries to discern when you're in the batter's box. The location of the hand, the grip on the baseball, the rotation on the ball as it comes out of his hand, all trying to get an edge, guess right, and then hit something hard.
Well, the last guy to hit the ball was Goldie when he homered in the first. Ryu has retired all 8 he's faced since. And Goldie leads off the fourth. Goldschmidt, Prado, Hill, 3, 4, and 5. Fights that off, shallow center. Schumacher comes in, and he's got it for the first out. Check the bat speed on Goldie's homer. The ball came off the bat at just a tick under 104.
Ooh.
And that's another example, Bob, we've seen really over the last few weeks. That ball at Chase Field carrying out to right center field. I wonder if we go to Australia that Martin Prado gets to bring this music with him. I think the Aussies are ready for that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure the Aussies are very hip when it comes to music.
They don't just play Men at Work for everything.
Now, Miggy's walk-up music, I don't know.
That could become a sensation. Prado flying out to left his first time. Each team still with only 1 hit. It has quickly become a pitcher's duel, which is somewhat ironic because Cahill gave up 2 base runners in the first, a single and a walk. Ryu had 2 base runners in the first, a walk and a home run, and that has been all the offense for both sides.
Well, in Ryu's case, he's really gone to off-speed pitches. He tried to throw some fastballs early in the game. He walked A.J. Pollock, nibbling around at the edge of the zone, gave up that bomb to Goldie, and ever since then, a lot of off-speed pitches.
Nick Buss near the left field line has it for the second out. Now 10 straight set down by Hyunjin Ryu.
Second baseman,
Brings up Aaron Hill. He grounded out his first time. So Aaron hitting right at about 200 for the month of September.
Another breaking ball from Ryu. Really has thrown a lot of them since that first inning.
Hyunjin Ryu has had very good command lately. He led off the game with a walk to A.J. Pollock. A.J. scored on the Goldie home run, and that was certainly unusual because Ryu had walked a total of only 4 batters in his previous 7 starts. But he led off the ball game with a walk tonight, and it turned into a run. But since the Goldie homer, he's retired all 10 he's faced. 1-2. Ellis can't hang on. Aaron Hill is still alive.
Now we've got the Phantom Cam here tonight. You know how much we love to play with it. Even a routine play like a grounder right to Aaron Hill. Watch how he uses his bare hand above his glove. He uses his chest. You can do this at second base because it's such a short throw over there to first. Drop to a knee. Make sure you stop that hard hit ball. Look it all the way in and then throw on to first for the out. Nice job by Aaron Hill.
Ryu misses up. It's 2-2.
Now, you don't have that luxury at shortstop. Occasionally at third base you can drop to a knee and make sure you corral those hard hit balls. But at second base you've got a little bit more time to play with.
It's full. Just talked to Jason Moore, CEO of Moore Sports, which is handling a lot of the promotional work for the Diamondbacks and Dodgers series opener or season opener, I should say, next year in Australia. We've got an even bigger legend in the booth coming up next half inning. 3-2. That's 4 strikeouts for Hyunjin Ryu. He's retired 11 in a row. Joe G joins us when we come back. Pleasure to be joined by Joe Garagiola Sr. here in the Joe Garagiola Sr. broadcast booth. So it's only fitting we have you back. Welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be back and glad to see that we got a 2-run lead. And I'm looking 1 hit apiece, but we got 2 runs, and that's all that counts.
Yeah, that home run Goldie hit reminded me of some of the balls you used to hit, Joe.
Hey, Bob, they ought to have a rule. When you hit him that far, you should chop him into singles. He'd lead the league for 4 years.
He might anyway, the way he's going.
That ball, you could have shown a movie on it. I'm telling you, that was a tremendous home run.
Well, you've watched, Joe, I'm sure, watched Goldie from home all season long. What are your impressions?
Oh, he's going to be a tremendous star. I can't believe that a guy so young has such an attitude towards this game. He knows he owes the game something, and he's paying every day.
Lifted to center. A.J. Pollock backing up near the track, near the wall, and he tracks it down. Boy, he plays a nice center field.
He is overrated, underrated, and everything else. The thing about him is that he had that ball spotted right away as soon as it was hit. Makes the manager look smart, doesn't it?
Sure does. Good players tend to make a manager look smart.
Hey, good relief pitching, good hitting. You can be smart.
Well, Joe, the season didn't exactly work out the way we'd hoped, but the Diamondbacks are, right there at the end, hanging in there. What are your impressions of the season so far?
Well, I don't like the standings. I don't like that, but I like watching them because I never know what's going to happen. It's Halloween every night here.
There's been a lot of drama, that's for sure.
Whoa. It's a tough part of the year, too, for players to hear all these rumors and they think, where am I going? How am I going?
Yeah.
Trade talk, like in the Army when they had latrine rumors.
Get your shovel?
Oh, man. No, somebody come in and tell you where you're going to go.
Popped him up. Very short right center. Gerardo Parra comes in. A lot of the talk in this division, Joe, has been about Yasiel Puig and Puig mania. Here's the Cuban Bo Jackson. What do you think of him?
Well, I haven't seen him that much, and he's taken a lot of heat. He's a young guy, and I think some of the older guys are going to get him and stick a fork in him, and they'll tell him he's done, and let's play baseball. But he's got great ability. Come on.
Oh, what an athlete, huh?
I mean, he makes a mistake, and he's got a 2-base hit.
Nick Buss, the left fielder.
How about the change in the pitching? 26 pitches in the first, and then right in the strike zone all day long now.
Yeah, it seems like for Cahill, a lot of his starts have been like that. Takes him an inning or two to get comfortable out there on the mound, to find the corners of the plate. But once he does, he's pitched very effectively into the deeper portions of the ball game.
Boy, that's what you need.
How about that efficiency right there after that 27-pitch first? He's retired 12 in a row.
27 pitches in the first?
Yeah.
I missed one.
So, Joe, as we look into the offseason and beyond, what if you're Kevin Towers for a minute, what are you thinking about changing the ball club? What do they need? What's your impression?
Well, what do they need? I don't know. Kevin has studied it. Gibson has studied it. I read it in the papers. The writers have studied it.
Aaron Hill.
Like a machine.
13 in a row set down by Trevor Cahill. More with Joe G when we come back. Two 2-0 Arizona as Bob and I are joined by the great Joe Garagiola Sr. here in the Joe Garagiola broadcast booth. Now you've had a commercial break to think about it. Play GM for a second. What do you think when you look at this ball club?
I don't like trades because my name was always there, and I heard things like when they traded me to the Cubs, all right, from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You know, Mr. Rickey said this deal should hurt both teams. How about that one?
Oh, Lord.
How can you win? You know, I don't like
subtraction
that.
by addition, in other words.
We traded, we got Toby Atwell, Preston Ward, Bob Schultz, Bob Addis, and I was the player to be named later. Two of those guys weren't even on the bubblegum cards, Bob.
Yeah, but you were.
Yeah, well, I knew Seiberger well.
Now, I know you love watching this guy.
Oh, yeah.
He could have played in any era, I bet.
I'd like to know why he always puts his hand up. Nobody ever pays attention to him. You know, it's like a kid wanting to leave the room and the teacher doesn't let him go. Watch him. Ask him.
Right there, he just did it.
No, what? Did he do it?
Yeah.
Yep. Missed that one like the first pitch I missed. I know, this guy, he's a gamer.
I wanted to ask you, Joe. I mean, we've got Matt Davidson getting a little bit of playing time at third. Chris Owings playing shortstop tonight. The kids that come up this time of year to get some playing time. Do you remember your first go-round to big leagues? You were only 20.
Yep.
Lifted in the air to right center. Schumacher and Puig are out there. He's got it for the first out.
My first time, believe it or not, Bob, I was scared to death. We were in the World Series. I'd never seen Ted Williams live. And he comes up to hit, and I'm looking at him, you know. But we just saw National League games. And I'll never forget the first pitch. Fastball inside, and he turns, and he says, that ball was inside. I said, yes, sir, way inside. You know, was I going to question Ted Williams? But it's a tough time for guys when they see their names in the paper, you know. You hate to be the player to be named later. That always bugged me.
Because you never find out until later.
Well, you can always find out who's going to go to a contending team by how soon they report.
Nick Punto. Gonzalez, did he keep a foot on the bag? Yes, he did, says Rob Drake at first.
What a play.
Yeah, Gonzalez may have stayed on the base, but I'm not so sure Rob Drake could see it from where he was positioned. You saw Punto as he reached into the glove right there, didn't have a grip initially, took a couple of extra steps to get it across, and yeah, he got it right. Adrian Gonzalez kept the foot on the bag while stretching out toward right field. That's a nice athletic play for a big offense-oriented player.
Brings up Tuffy Gozawish.
Oh, I love the way he catches, don't you? You know what I like? He fires that ball back to the pitcher, delivers a message to the pitcher. Come on, put something on it. And he's also telling the other ball club, you run, I'm ready. And he doesn't drop many balls. I hate that one-handed catching. Man.
He's a high-energy guy back there.
Yes, he is.
You feel good when he's back there, that's for sure.
Hey, Joe, I wanted to ask you one other question. In the booth right next door over here, they got a pretty fair broadcaster. I know you used to work with Vinny quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, we had some fun, too. Let me ask you something now, because he asked me this question on national television. He said, Joe, did you ever use falsies to catch? I said, no. He said, why not? A lot of guys did. Did you use falsies for a sponge?
Well, no, I never did, but I'm going to let you explain how they were used.
Well, you put it in
I think that might be good.
Well, no, you use it as a sponge. And I finally, he kept it up, and finally I said, Vinny, I tell you, I didn't use it. Well, why? You had a reason. I said, yeah, I didn't want to get emotionally involved. I mean,
might not want to put your mitt down.
No, the great Vin Scully asking me that question.
3-2 to Tuffy. There's Puig, and Ryu is now set down 14 in a row. Joe, the booth is named after you. You're always welcome. Stop by anytime, please.
Thank you. Doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Always good.
Doing a good job. I got all your albums, too.
CenturyLink, your link to what's next. By Mazda, we believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. And by Lone Butte Casino, you're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. Back at Chase Field, set for the 6th inning. FoxSportsArizona.com, all your online local sports coverage you can't find anywhere else, like the D-backs make the case for Goldie as MVP. Jack McGurter is here next to us in the press box. He's got the latest on possible contract extensions for both Brad Ziegler and Gerardo Parra. And the Pac-12 reprimanded that crew in the ASU-Wisconsin game. They should have reprimanded the Badgers coaching staff. Spike it and kick it. That's another story.
2-0 Diamondbacks lead the Dodgers. Still have never seen a game end like that.
It's all that cheese, I'm telling you.
Well, I'll tell you what, BB, this has turned into quite a pitcher's duel as Ryu leads off the 6th. Ryu has retired 14 in a row. Cahill has retired 13 straight. Neither pitcher has allowed a base runner since the first inning. And they are our APS Energy All-Stars. A good old-fashioned pitcher's duel here.
Yeah, both guys throwing strikes. Walks have been a problem for Trevor Cahill, as for Ryu from time to time this season.
I knew Joe G would like Tuffy.
Oh, yeah.
Just the way he catches. Just so solid back there. A pitching matchup between these two guys. Amazing that Trevor had 27 pitches in the first inning alone. And as we start the 6th, he's still under 80 for the ball game. He's been very efficient since that first inning when he had a single and a walk. Look at that. Whew. He has pitch to contact. But he's running full to the pitcher to open the 6th. Nick Punto on deck. He's got the Dodgers' only hits, and a leadoff walk to the pitcher opens up the 6th. That is the second walk issued by Trevor Cahill.
Shortstop, Nick Punto.
Long look down to Tim Wallach coaching at third for Punto, who's 1 for 2. He singled a bouncer up the middle to lead off the ball game, and that's still the Dodgers' only hit. The walk to Ryu ends the streak of 13 straight set down by Cahill. First pitch swinging, A.J. Pollock. He can't get there, it's over his head, and we'll see how fast Ryu can run. He will stop at third. 15th double for Nick Punto. Second and third, no outs for the Dodgers. Now, hold on. They're checking the baseball. Everything is in order. So it's second and third, nobody out.
After the leadoff walk to the pitcher, Trevor Cahill just trying to guide something up there in the strike zone, and Punto makes him pay. Drives that ball to the gap in left center field. Maybe this will take something out of Ryu. Of course, we don't want him to get on that dish, but make him run around those bases a little bit. See what he looks like when he takes the mound for the next half inning.
Mark Ellis has grounded out to shortstop twice. Boy, the leadoff walks. Ryu led off his first inning by walking A.J. Pollock. Pollock scored on the Goldie homer. And now Cahill has walked Ryu to lead off the 6th. He's standing at third with no outs.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks defensively playing their infield back all the way around, basically conceding a run. They'll trade a run for an out right here. Although with Ryu the pitcher running at third base on a hard hit ball, you know, give a look anyway. You might have a chance to throw him out at home plate.
2-0. You can't find it suddenly. This is Ryu. Had to hold up to make sure Pollock didn't catch it. And as a result, Tim Wallach stopped him at third with nobody out. He didn't come close to throwing a strike there. Dodgers have the bases loaded and no outs. And Cahill had retired 13 straight, had walked only 1 in the ball game, has walked 2 in this inning. And the bases are full for Adrian Gonzalez. Charles Nagy to the mound.
Charlie's just going to try to take some time, give the bullpen a chance to crank it up down there. It's not very often that The second hit of the ball game when you're shutting the opposition out will get the bullpen scrambling the way it has here tonight as Colementor begins to crank it up. But this inning, it just looked like a different pitcher from what we saw through the first 5 innings of this game.
He didn't, it looked like from here, come close to throwing a strike to either Ryu or to Ellis. Certainly in that last at bat, didn't have any command at all, and now at 83 pitches. He's got to work to the Dodgers' most dangerous hitter with the bases full and no outs. Ryu is at third, Punto is at second, and Ellis at first. Gonzalez has struck out and lined out to right, 0 for 2. .360 career with the bases full. First pitch swinging, left field. Willie Bloomquist is under it. Ryu's at third, and he will tag. He will stop there. Big out number 1 for Trevor Cahill. Ryu took off, took about 3 or 4 steps, and Tim Wallach almost tackled him at third.
I think when Wallach realized that fly ball was not going to be deep enough for Ryu to tag and score, he came up, and I think he actually whispered in his ear, just fake it down the line. You're not going anywhere.
Bases loaded for Puig. He walked in the first and struck out in the fourth, 0 for 1.
Not an easy guy to double up. He's only grounded into 5 double plays all season.
At great speed up the line. Hopefully a hard hit ground ball if it is on the ground, right to a D-back infielder. 0-1. Tuffy tackles that one. It's even 1-1. Ryu walked. Punto doubled. Ellis walked. Gonzalez flat out. Now here's Puig with a 1-1 count. Two and 1. Josh Colementor from the right-hand side. Joe Thatcher from the left. Three and 1. A.J. Ellis is on deck. He walks in a run. Third walk in this inning, issued by Trevor Cahill, who suddenly has lost command. He'd retired 13 straight, and out of nowhere in this 6th inning, 3 walks and a double. Kirk Gibson going to speak with Andy Fletcher behind home plate, and it looks like a double switch may be in order.
You would assume either Tuffy Gosawish behind the plate or Chris Owings at shortstop. You usually go back a spot, maybe 2, sometimes 3 spots to make this double switch.
Owings and Gosawish made the last 2 outs of the 5th. Will Nieves is coming out now, and it looks like he will replace Tuffy behind the plate as part of the double switch, and Trevor Cahill will exit, responsible for 3 base runners. Gosawish leaves, Nieves will catch, and Josh Colementor will come in. Bases full of Dodgers. We'll take a break at Chase Field. for the 6th. He walked Ryu, the pitcher, to lead off the inning. Punto doubled to deep left center. Ellis walked to load the bases. Gonzalez flied out. Puig was walked to walk in a run. And now Cahill has given way to Josh Colmenter, who's on for the 44th time this year, and he is in a one-out, bases-loaded mess with a one-run lead.
Catcher A.J. Ellis.
Will Nieves, the new catcher, is part of the double switch, so a whole new battery for the D-backs. And Nieves will hit in the pitcher's spot and bat 9th. Nick Punto is the runner at 3rd. Mark Ellis at 2nd, and Yasiel Puig at 1st. A run in on the walk to Puig. And here's A.J. Ellis, who's 0 for 2. There's a strike, 0-1. Boy, Bob, Trevor Cahill was rolling along and suddenly just couldn't throw a strike.
Boy, sometimes it's hard to figure why something like that would happen. He was as totally in command of this ball game from the end of the first inning on as we've seen him all year.
Absolutely. He gave up a bouncing single up the middle to Nick Punto to lead off the ball game. A 2-out walk to Puig in the 1st, and then retired the next 13 he faced before the start of this inning. He's walked in a run, and he's responsible for 3 Dodger base runners. There's a strike, 1-2. Trevor Cahill worked 1, 2, 3 innings in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Colmenter strikes out A.J. Ellis, 2 down.
Belt high fastball right down the middle of the plate. Just challenged Ellis right there with a 4-seam heater. Blew it right by him.
And now he'll work to Skip Schumacher, who has twice flied out to center field. Trying to perform a miracle right here and maintain that 1-run lead. Beat LA chant surfaces at Chase Field. Nieves keeps it in front, 2-0. Is it hard to come in the middle of a game as a catcher?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure Will Nieves went up in the batting cage, which is right behind the dugout on the third base side. Either a pitching machine or one of his teammates threw some balls to him so he could get his arm loose, get his legs loose, get into a catching position, but obviously not in the rhythm of the game the way Tuffy was.
Colmenter behind, 2-0. Talk about coming in with no margin for error. Both Colmenter and Nieves have to be at the top of their games right here with the bases full. Punto, the runner at 3rd, Ellis at 2nd, and Puig at 1st. Dodgers still with only 2 hits in the ballgame. Diamondbacks have only 1, the Goldie homer in the 1st. D-back nation. This is developing into quite a battle here. Colementor and Schumacher.
Well, all these fastballs that Josh Colementor has thrown to Schumacher fouled off weakly to the third base side of the field. I'm sure Will would like to call that changeup down low in the zone, but when a guy's not catching up to the fastball, you don't want to speed up his bat by throwing him an off-speed pitch.
One upstairs here.
Yep.
And it's full.
Little decoy that time by Will Nieves. He gave that high target as if it was going to be another fastball up in the zone, and then at the last instant dropped down low and tried to get Schumacher to chase that changeup in the dirt.
Three and two outs, bases full. Just to make sure. Anything here you like especially?
I like up and out over the plate. Makes Schumacher hit the ball in the air, center field, left center field. He doesn't have the kind of power to drive the ball out of the ballpark to the opposite field with that lazy fly ball.
Broken bat. Aaron Hill has it from the edge of the grass. And Josh Colementor works a miracle. He comes into a bases-loaded mess, gets a strikeout, gets a ground ball, and gets the Diamondbacks out of the inning, still with a 2-1 lead. It's a one-run ball game. Fun times. Hello at the RamTrucks.com pool. Great place to watch a game and enjoy a cool, refreshing beverage. Hot tub, pool in full use out there. Trying to solve the mystery of Hyunjin Ryu. Has retired the last 14 Diamondbacks he's faced. He has not given up a base runner since Goldie's one-out homer in the first. He's retired 14 in a row. And he'll work to Will Nieves, A.J. Pollock, and Willie Bloomquist, 9-1-2 in the Diamondbacks' sixth. And boy, Josh Colementor did it again. Bases loaded, one out, a run in. He got a strikeout and a ground ball and put out the fire.
Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto. For a minute there, it looked like big trouble for Moose and Squirrel. 1-0. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool play of the game belongs to Josh Colementor. Cool under fire there. As Schumacher gets jammed on a 3-2 pitch.
And good concentration by Aaron Hill to watch the ball and not the bat. The barrel of that broken bat followed the baseball right out to second base, but Aaron able to stay with it. What a great job by Josh Coleman.
Oh, sensational. A.J. Pollock walked and scored to lead off the ball game for the Diamondbacks. He came in on the Goldie homer, which is still the D-backs' only hit tonight. He struck out his last time up. A.J.'s hit in 4 of his last 5 games. In the leadoff spot tonight against the lefty Ryu. Breaking ball upstairs, just missed, 1-1.
I want to give you a heads up before it happens, fans. Anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Did you go through the drive-thru today or yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
Want tacos.
I love tacos.
Who doesn't like tacos?
Almost as much as I love 6 runs in a game.
It's a win-win, that's for sure. Lifted in the air to center field, Skip Schumacher. 16 in a row set down by Ryu. Willie Bloomquist is 0 for 2. Willie hitting about .440 since his return from the broken hand that kept him out for 53 games. He has flied out and grounded out. We back the D-backs. Those are the shirts we're giving out here throughout the series. 5,000 per game. Different T-shirts for every game. So get your tickets, get your T-shirts. The Beat LA ones, that's a classic look right there.
Classic.
Trying to throw the fastball down and away, but missed. It's 1-1. We back home turf. That's the theme tonight. We must protect this house. No celebrations on this field, not this week. Breaking ball, knocked to the first base side. Gonzalez backhands it. Ryu covers, and that's the second out. Or the third out, pardon me. And now 17 in a row set down by Ryu. We are through 6. It's still 2-1 D-backs. One-out jam in the top of the 6th to maintain a 2-1 lead after Trevor Cahill, who had retired 13 in a row, just suddenly lost the handle. 3 walks and a double in the inning, produced a Dodger run. But the Diamondbacks still have a lead on only 1 hit, Goldie's home run in the first. And Cole Mentor will work to Uribe, Buss, and the pitcher's spot. 7, 8, 9 in the LA 7th. 2 hits for the Dodgers, 1 for the Diamondbacks. Uribe is 0 for 2. He has struck out and fly out. Uribe having a good month, hitting .310 in September with 4 homers. 3 of them coming in that one game against the Diamondbacks last week. Colementor behind 2-0. Nieva set up down and away. Colementor missed, but Uribe couldn't catch up. Bell-tie fastball, and it's 2-1.
I'll tell you, as good as Ryu has been tonight, for me, the Dodgers need to get somebody up in the bullpen.
Why is that?
Pitcher spot due up third in this inning. You trail by a run. As good as Ryu has been, if you've got a chance to score a run when you get down to that 9 spot, you need to have a reliever cranked up and ready to go. Belisario just got up in the Dodger bullpen, is going to begin to throw here in just a moment. I mean, it's not that you're taking Ryu out of the game because he has not done a good job. You have to score another run to tie this game up. And occasionally you've got to take down an effective pitcher in order to get back into the ball game.
3-2. Well, he's gone way past effective, having retired 17 in a row since the Goldie homer. You'd hate to take him out, but yeah, you got to get a run somewhere here, especially if Uribe or Bus get on ahead of him. Another 3-2 pitch. Second strikeout for Colementor, 1 down.
Yeah, we talk a lot about different arm angles and different release points and what hitters have to deal with. This is Trevor Cahill with that low 3/4 arm angle. That was a slider that time. And then Josh Colementor, as far over the top as you can physically get your right arm. Completely different look for those Dodger hitters.
My elbow always hurts when we show those phantom cam slow-mos of the pitchers.
Well, especially when Brad Ziegler gets in the game.
Oh. Goldie! Takes perhaps extra bases away from Nick Buss, and now Bob Ryu will hit.
Yeah, nobody on base, no chance to score a run here. You want to leave your effective pitcher in the game. Easy play for Goldie that time, positioned perfectly for Buss.
And Ryu has scored the Dodgers' only run tonight. He walked to lead off the 6th against Cahill. Came in on a bases loaded walk to Puig, which was the last batter that Cahill faced before giving way to Colementor, who got a strikeout and a ground ball to put out the fire. Boy, he is something. Fastball change, and the fastball's 88.
Straight. He does have a curveball he'll drop in there on occasion, especially in those extended outings where he's out there for 3 or 4 or 5 innings out of the bullpen. You'll see him use that curveball a little bit second time through the lineup. Yeah, but the overwhelming majority of the time all season it's been 4-seam fastball, straight changeup.
1-2. Center field, here comes AJ. Colementor works a 1-2-3 7th. It stays 2-1. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Joe Borowski joins us in the booth, and Goldie leads it off for the D-backs.
Interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Joe Borowski joins us in the booth. Joe, Trevor Cahill had given up only one hit. He had retired 13 in a row, and suddenly all four wheels fell off at once. What happened?
It sure did, and he jumped out 0-2 to Ryu, and then he winds up walking the pitcher, which is never good. You never walk the leadoff guy, and especially the pitcher, and he just could not find the strike zone after that. And sure enough, the one guy who has been constant all year long comes in and bails him out in Coleman.
That's remarkable. And on the other hand, you've got Ryu here. He's retired the last 17 he's faced. Hasn't given up a hit since Goldie's homer in the first.
Yeah, that was the big question I was looking at in the top of the seventh. There was, would Mattingly pinch hit for him? As well as he's pitching, he's looking for offense. But I'm guessing with nobody on, he decided to stick with Ryu.
Well, he's only got 4 strikeouts. It's not like he's blowing guys away, but he's getting a lot of fly ball outs. Goldie drives that to right center field. Puig is in front of the pool. That's allowed, out number 1.
For me, Ryu has just decided that he's going to throw breaking balls for strikes and use his fastball to set up that pitch. That was the first fastball I think he's thrown that a Diamondbacks hitter could get to since that first inning of the ball game. He's been throwing curveballs for strikes, sliders for strikes, changeups for strikes, but moving his fastball in and out off the plate just as a setup pitch.
I got him at 9 fly ball outs through 6 1/3. Martin Prado 0 for 2. He has flied out twice. Well, I guess you can survive at times as a fly ball pitcher in this ballpark. I'm told you can't.
It's definitely not a living that you want to keep going with in this park, though.
Yeah, 9 fly ball outs, 6 ground outs, a strikeout here and there, and the Diamondbacks are leading the ball game on only 1 hit, the Goldie homer. That one is rolled to third. Uribe steps in front of Pinto, and he's got it for the second out. So I imagine you're going to talk pitching on the postgame show, Diamondbacks Live.
Definitely, we're going to look at both pitchers and see how they were able to keep each offense at bay, and we're definitely going to have to take a closer look at Coleman and just how he's able to be so effective.
How is he?
You know what? I think everyone has that change up in the back of their mind when they go up to see him. And they don't realize that he's throwing 88, 89, but it seems like it's 92, 93. And when you're facing him, a lot of times you see other pitchers who pitch up in the zone, and he just pitches just high enough where they can't square it up.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. It's not like he's spotting the corner. I mean, he's throwing it oftentimes. We saw in that last inning, almost it seems right down the middle.
And you saw against A.J. Ellis, he threw that fastball right down the middle, and he swung right through it. It's a deceiving fastball, and I think a lot of his mechanics have to do with that.
1-2 to Aaron Hill. Base hit. Just a second hit for the Diamondbacks, and their first since the Goldie homer back in the first. That ends a streak of 19 in a row set down by Ryu. Check out the Phantom King.
Nice job by Aaron to wait on that breaking ball. Catches it right out there in front of home plate, out near the end of the bat. You see the shock waves go down the bat, up his forearms, but got enough of it to muscle it out into left field for a base hit.
So Hill's a 2-out base runner for Parr, who's 0 for 2. He is struck out and flied out. Ryu creeping up on 90 pitches here. This is a guy that goes fairly deep into games. He's been over 100 pitches in all but 5 of his 27 starts this year. 1-1. Gerardo looking back at Andy Fletcher for a discussion. Both bullpens are busy, as you would expect in a 2-1 game in the 7th. like he broke his bat. It gets by Gonzalez, and Punto is there. Ryu covers. Nice play. That's Ellis, pardon me. Nice play by the Dodger infield. And that ends the inning, Joe. Thanks. We'll see you on Diamondbacks Live.
Looking forward to it.
It got by Gonzalez, but Mark Ellis was there, and Ryu hustled over to the bag to record that out. It sends us to the 8th in a 2-1 ball game. Goldschmidt, who are actively involved with the pediatric cancer unit at Phoenix Children's Hospital, and you can help by donating $44 for Goldie's uniform number. You'll get a Paul Goldschmidt limited edition print and 2 lower level seats to a Diamondbacks game. For more information, visit foxsportsarizona.com and click on the D-backs page. $44, a donation to Phoenix Children's Hospital, gets you the Goldie print and 2 lower level seats to a D-backs game here at Chase Field as we try and support Paul and Amy and all the great work they do with the Phoenix Children's Hospital. David Hernandez on to work the 8th inning against the Dodgers. He'll face the top of the order: Nick Punto, Mark Ellis, Adrian Gonzalez. Nick Punto has both Dodger hits tonight. A single in the first, a double in the 6th his last time up. David Hernandez, since he came back from Reno, has been outstanding. Struck him out, 1 away in the 8th.
Well, since coming back, David has found a little extra velocity. Before his trip down to AAA Reno, he was consistently in the low to mid 90s, but we've seen him up as high as 98 since coming back from AAA.
There's Mark Ellis, who walked his last time up. He's 0 for 2. It hit him, and the Dodgers have the tying run aboard with 1 out.
Gets small. Pitches him right on the logo on that left sleeve, on the back of the biceps, triceps muscle.
And now there are speed on the bases for the Dodgers as the speedy D. Gordon will run for Ellis. And we'll see how Don Mattingly wants to play this with Gordon aboard and Gonzalez at the plate. He's 0 for 3.
Gordon 9 out of 11 on the season in stolen bases. You think about D. Gordon with the Dodgers and Billy Hamilton with the Reds. Diamondbacks have Tony Campana, those pinch run specialists.
Secret weapons. Yeah, Billy Hamilton had a big first week with Cincinnati when he came up. Some key stolen bases, scoring some key runs. That was close down there, but Rob Drake says he's back in time. Ooh. Gordon, the tying run at first with 1 out. Adrian Gonzalez, 3 games against the Diamondbacks last week at Dodger Stadium, had 5 hits, including a home run.
Now we've heard of guess hitters. If D. Gordon is a guess base runner, I would guess he's going to take off here pretty quickly. That's the 4th throw over to first base before even delivering a pitch to Adrian Gonzalez in this sequence.
Gordon holds. Gonzalez fouls it behind the Diamondback dugout. Tim Wallach coaching at third. Pitch out, nothing doing.
Now, one common mistake a lot of pitchers make on a pitch out, they try to unload the ball quickly. On a pitch out, you actually want the runner to run. That time David kind of used the slide step and really got rid of the ball quickly. Didn't give D. Gordon an opportunity to get a jump over there at first base.
Gordon holds again. That one's in the dirt, blocked by Nieves. And Gonzalez wins, says Andy Fletcher. It's a 1-2 count. For Mattingly in the dugout, Wallace at third, Gordon first, or Wallach at first. And here's Gonzalez now with a 1-2 count.
A little flinch that time. Gordon sliding that back corner of the bag, making Goldie bring that tag as far as possible before slapping it on the back of his elbow. Usually, not always, but usually when you see a runner jab stepping the way Gordon was right there, that means he's not running.
Why?
Well, he doesn't want to get caught in between. If he jab steps and now I'm slowly leaning back toward first as the pitch is delivered, you can't get a jump. guys that are usually going to steal get out there to their maximum lead. They plant that right foot and then just go into a crossover step and take off.
He holds it first, pitches upstairs, 2-2.
I mean, you could possibly guess right and be out on that front foot as the ball's being delivered, and you'll get a great jump, or you could be leaning back toward first as the ball's delivered and get no jump.
There goes Gordon, fouled away. Gordon holds. Gonzalez pulls it down the right field line just by Davey Lopes at first. Hard to tell who's getting more tired. Dee Gordon in first or Tim Wallach at third. It's the most action Wallach's had all night down there. Another 2-2 pitch. Gordon holds. That one's in the dirt and it's full, 3-2.
Strike him out, throw him out, double play. That'd be a thing of beauty right now. Hernandez has punched out Gonzalez 4 times in their 10 previous meetings.
3-2 pitch. Gordon takes off. Gonzalez fouls it back. We'll do it again.
Can't imagine a scenario when Gordon would not be running on this full count pitch to Adrian Gonzalez. He does not run well at all. Possibility of hitting into a double play if you don't start that runner.
There he goes. Popped him up. Short center. Pollock coming in. 2 down. Gonzalez 0 for 4. Here's Puig. Back with you tomorrow. Diamondbacks live, 6 o'clock on Fox Sports Arizona. That was a 9-pitch at bat. Quite a battle between Gonzalez and Hernandez. Not to mention all the throws over to first.
And the good news is Dee Gordon's still at first base, and now we're going to start all over again during Puig's at bat. We see several pickoff attempts over there at first. Gordon, I would guess, is going to try to get himself into scoring position as quickly as possible during this sequence.
Yasiel Puig has walked twice and struck out. Nick Punto struck out to open the inning. Mark Ellis was grazed on the shoulder by a pitch. He took first. Gordon is over there running for Ellis. Gonzalez flied out. Now here's Puig. Gordon holds. There's a strike. 0-1.
That was one instance right there where paying attention to the runner at first base and holding that ball for an extra tick out there on the mound froze the hitter at the plate. Puig just took a heater right down the middle. We haven't seen him do that all year.
Much better when the bases are empty. 0-1. Breaking ball missed inside. Count is even 1-1. Gordon still at first. One and two.
Beat him inside with a fastball at 95 that time. Puig actually just trying to fight that pitch off. Coming down near the trademark. Harmless foul ball back out of play.
D. Gordon, the tying run at first. 2 outs, 1 and 2 to Puig. There goes Gordon. Struck him out. David Hernandez wiggles off the hook. They strand the tying run. We head to the home half of the 8th, and the Diamondbacks still lead it 2-1. Hernandez gets Puig to chase. He maintains that 1-run Diamondback lead. George is not here. We take a look at our Chevron upcoming pitching matchup. Back with you tomorrow. Diamondbacks live at 6 o'clock pregame show on Fox Sports Arizona. And this is a can't miss. Zach Greinke versus Patrick Corbin. There are 14 game winners going head-to-head at Chase Field. This has been an exciting ball game. Each team with only 2 hits. Diamondbacks lead at 2-1 on Goldie's 33rd home run back in the first. And Chris Owings leads it off against Ryu in the home half of the 8th. Pitcher spot is due up next after the double switch, and Matt Davidson is in the on-deck circle. D. Gordon, who came in to run for Mark Ellis, takes over for Ellis at second base.
Well, with Corbin and Greinke tomorrow, if those guys are on top of their game, they're going to make this one look like an offensive outburst.
A Goldie homer in the first and an Aaron Hill 2-out single in the 7th, the only Diamondbacks hits. In between, Hyunjin Ryu retired 19 in a row. And he is still out there at 93 pitches, 58 for strikes. Owings is 0 for 2. He struck out and grounded out. Yesterday, Chris collected his first Major League RBI. 8th inning single in the D-backs win over the Rockies. That's lifted in the air to Skip Schumacher deep in center field, but he's got room and tracks it down. Update the AT&T Twitter poll question. Most exciting thing to watch the rest of the year? 41% say the Goldie home run chase. He is now even with Pedro Alvarez for the National League lead, 33 home runs.
Well, it's been fun to watch all season long. Kind of like Gerardo Parra's arm in right field.
A lot to like.
Yeah.
Well, there's Matt Davidson, who yesterday had his first Major League home run. Matt is hitting in the pitcher's spot, which is 8th in the order right now after the double switch. At 4 for 7 in his last 2 games, after opening up 2 for 19. Solo shot in the 5th yesterday against the Rockies, his first big league homer. 3-0. Right field, foul ground now. Gonzalez has it, 2 down. Brings up Will Nieves. Will up there at 301 on the year. He has 1 for his last 16 overall. He's only 2 hits away from a career high of 58, which he set back in 09. Roller to second, Gordon coming in. And Ryu works a 1-2-3-8. We head to the 9th. The Diamondbacks holding a 2-1 lead. Pitching and defense tonight, A.J. Pollock tracking him down in center field. Nick Punto and Adrian Gonzalez hooking up in the Dodger infield. Defense and pitching have been the story here. Each team with only 2 hits, but the Diamondbacks have the big one. Goldie's 2-run homer in the first, his 33rd. Our Ram Trucks tools of the trade. It gave the Diamondbacks a 2-0 lead. Dodgers got 1 on a bases loaded walk to Yasiel Puig in the 6th. That was the last hitter that Trevor Cahill faced after Cahill had retired 13 in a row to get through 5. And now Brad Ziegler is on with a 1-run lead to close it out. Great work by the Diamondbacks bullpen tonight, and Colmenter and Hernandez, and now the torch is passed to the closer. Michael Young will hit for A.J. Ellis, a veteran off the Dodger bench here.
In games involving pitching and defense, it's usually the defense that lets the Dodgers down. Their pitching staff's been very good all year long, especially their starting rotation. However, their defense has surrendered 104 errors this season. Only the Brewers have made more in the National League.
There's a strike. Ziegler jumps ahead 0-1. Michael Young, acquired by the Dodgers from the Phillies at the trade deadline for a minor league pitcher. And he leads it off with a base hit, tying run aboard for LA. Just the third hit for the Dodgers tonight. Nick Punto's single and double had been all their offense, other than the walks issued by Cahill, who walked 4 in the ball game, 3 in the 6th inning. Here's Skip Schumacher now. Tying run at first with nobody out. Schumacher 0 for 3. He grounded out his last time up. He has flied out twice to center. Base hit. First 2 have reached in the 9th against the Diamondbacks closer.
Elevated. Usually Brad Ziegler's down around the knees with movement even farther down. That time that pitch was up mid-thigh, mid-plate. Schumacher just stayed on it, guided it through that left side of the infield.
So 3 pitches in, 2 Dodgers singles have the tying and go-ahead runs aboard with no outs. And Juan Uribe will hit. He's 0 for 3. He has struck out twice.
And he does have 3 sacrifice bunts on the season. I mentioned earlier Don Mattingly, only Dusty Baker has called for the sac bunt more often this year in Cincinnati than the Dodgers.
Martin Prado on the edge of the grass at third, backing off a bit now. Goldie crashing in from first. Uribe showing bunt, pulls back. It's a ball, 1-0. Tim Wallach at third. He gets it down. Ziegler has to play at third, and they get the force. Young is erased. That's a big out, number 1.
Boy, nice read by Martin Prado at third base. That's where it really helps to know the fielding prowess of your pitcher on the mound. Brad Ziegler's always been very athletic, very agile getting off that mound. So as soon as that ball was bunted on the ground, Prado retreated to third base, letting Brad Ziegler take everything on the left side of the infield. They get the lead guy.
And here's Nick Buss, 0 for 3. Schumacher is the tying run at second. Uribe the go-ahead run at first, and Buss fouls that one off, 0-1. Nick Buss played this year at AAA Albuquerque. He hit .303 with 17 homers. He had 100 RBIs in 131 games. He was a Pacific Coast League All-Star. And Moving into the on-deck circle for the Dodgers for the first time since July is Matt Kemp.
Well, if Brad Ziegler can induce another ground ball for a double play, we won't see him here in this inning, which would really be advantageous. Since the beginning of the 08 season, no relief pitcher has induced more ground ball double plays than Brad Ziegler. That was a hit or be hit situation right there. That slider working its way in to Buss. He hooked that ball back over his own right shoulder.
Wow. Looking for a ground ball right here ahead on Buss, 0-2. High chopper. Goldie coming in. He's got one play. Ziegler covers, and they get Buss at first. Runners move up 90 feet. Schumacher to third, and Uribe's at second. And now, for the first time since July 21st, here's Matt Kemp. Kemp activated today. He has appeared in only one game since July the 5th, initially on the DL with an ankle sprain. He was further delayed when he hurt his hamstring working out at Camelback Ranch. Trying to come back from the ankle issue. The one game he played since the 5th was on the 21st, which was the last time the Dodgers have seen him. They have first base open, of course, and we'll see how they decide to play this here. Nick Punto, the leadoff man, who has 2 of the Dodgers' 4 hits tonight, is on deck. What do you think, Bob? You pitched to him. He hasn't been in a game in months here.
I think you pitch him very carefully once again, and if you happen to fall behind in the count, then maybe you think about going ahead and passing him. I mean, I know Matt Kemp's been taking some batting practice, but I don't think he's seen anybody throwing from the arm angle that Brad Ziegler features out there on the mound.
So with first base open, they will pitch to Matt Kemp, who's in at 263 and 5 homers. Tying run at third, go ahead run at second, 2 outs in the 9th. Oh, and 2. Dodgers have lost 3 straight and 8 of their last 11. They are here tonight opening up a long 10-game road trip, trying to clinch the National League West. Diamondbacks trying to avoid seeing that on their home field. He holds off 1-2. Struck him out and the Diamondbacks win. Brad Ziegler strands the tying and go-ahead runs aboard. And the D-backs take game 1 of this 4-game set. And they defend their turf. Just their 3rd win ever with 2 or fewer hits. Both runs scored on a Paul Goldschmidt homer back in the first inning, his 33rd. And those runs stand.
What a ball game. I tell you, I hate to say this, but it really did have a playoff feel tonight.
It did.
Every 90 feet was a battle just to move runners up, just having D. Gordon on first base in that bottom of the 8th inning, or at the top of the 8th inning. It just has that feel. Every base is going to be a battle.
And how about the decision, Bob, to pitch to Matt Kemp? It worked out.
Well, I mean, if anybody should know about guys coming back off the disabled list and coming off of rehab assignments and not being up to game speed, it's Kirk Gibson. He felt comfortable with his closer on a guy that hasn't had a lot of playing time since July, and it worked out.
So the Diamondbacks, who had lost 5 of their last 6 against the Dodgers, can still win the season series against LA, and they're off to a good start on this homestand. It's a 2-1 win. They beat the Dodgers with only 2 base hits. Let's start Diamondbacks live out to center field with Todd and Joe.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. We'll do just that.